This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
The Inquisitor's in the house.
That's right. The Grand Inquisitor, please. I can go to 4 years of Inquisitor school.
Oh, damn.
He's very grand.
Yeah. The mediocre Inquisitor. Mediocre. So, I was just telling Cam in the green room, and by the way, my name is Cliff from Predator Minute and Gonzo Minute.
Oh, what's that other
A-aron,
voice here?
also from Predator Minute.
Yeah.
And just as a sort of behind the scenes, behind the curtain look, we've been recording a few different segments here. We talked about some convention stuff, and depending on when this goes out, some of this you might have heard, some of this you might not have heard yet. We talked about Shatner and the Shatnerverse.
Shatner September, yep.
Yeah. And it's kind of gotten me thinking about, as we've been telling stories about how we've gone through a sort of roundup. When we're recording this, it's right at the end of 2025. Mm-hmm. And I was telling a friend of mine about this show, about the Jacked Up Review show, and that when A-aron and I first got into podcasting 7 or 8 years ago, podcasting had already been around, but wasn't as prevalent and wasn't as done. And I always tell this is a little quick origin story. A-aron used to run a recording studio, and he'd been in a band, and as we get older, it's hard to find a creative thing to do together. I don't have any musical talent, right? I write for a living in a business way. A-aron gets to play around with some of his bands sometimes and jump around, but he's got a job too. Like, we've never gotten to do sort of a creative project together. There's this podcasting thing that's going on. Both of us liked listening to certain podcasts. I was talking about Star Wars Minute, and they had sort of put out the call, like, do what we do, right? Watch a movie 1 minute at a time. Just jump in. You've already got a setup format. I just didn't know the tech side. So that's where A-aron helped out. We started doing it. We started recording it, putting it out there, and then we started literally going to these movies by minute conventions, and we're meeting other people who do these movies by minute segments. So now we're guesting on their podcast. And we had kind of just done that, and then that broadened out to being on other shows that talk about sort of broader topics. And Cam, this show specifically is probably the first time we are on with a larger listenership, just talking about broader things
beyond the curtain,
whatever. I don't even remember the first one I did with you. It could have been who knows what.
I think we were just doing casual kind of like comic book adaptations and other stuff.
No, you always do a good job of like picking a theme, but
we definitely took
people on it. But
and
you definitely it was around a certain.
We were joking about how
adaptation. Maybe it was it might have been favorite book to film adaptation or something like that.
It. Yeah.
And anyway,
I think you're right.
Then since then I've been on like sports podcasts, and obviously I do a work podcast and things like that. And so I'm curious, and I guess I'll ask this to you too, A-aron. Just sort of, there's this thing like the wrap that Spotify does now, everyone does, sort of the end of the year. So there's that, I would say end of the year, but just over your time podcasting, I'd like to hear favorite guest that you've ever had. And this is no knock if you're one guest on one of our shows.
All of them.
And maybe a favorite topic or favorite moment. It's gonna be a little different for A-aron and me, right? Because we do minutes and stuff, or I guess moment about it. Kind of what it's led to. So I'll start with you, Cam, because you've had some broad ones. Do you remember a specific topic that you remember specifically being like very engaging? Like that was like a great show. The audience really, or the panelists really got behind that, or it did really well. Maybe you saw some of your best numbers. Anything like that you can think of over your career?
So you guys always bring it, and you're
You
always
don't have to say us.
layering it. But Oreo was a good kind of standing
Oreo
ovation because we had met each other on YouTube, and I was like, I feel like you'd be perfect with the kind of stuff you're saying to talk about favorite comic adaptations by labels. Let's talk about Dark Horse and let's talk about DC and Marvel. And he was the only one who kind of just was able to have a hot take without being a dick. And it's like, see, there's something to you. You're just very mysterious, and you're doing all these other impressions.
Oh,
Now-
he's the one who does all the impressions. I will tell you, I think it's Gil.
Gil is the big comic book connoisseur, and he was delightful.
When Shane was on for the first time meeting him, to this day, he talks about his encyclopedic knowledge. Because if you've heard me on here, we don't, at this point, don't do video. I'm looking shit up a lot of times. I'm like, that was 89, that was 82. Gil, I can see him. I'm on video. I see him. He is not looking it up.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that was the artist for that one was this.
Jack
But he switched
Kirby.
artists halfway through.
Yeah.
You know, well, I mean, everyone's going to Jack
Wow.
Kirby.
That had to
but
be
he's-
82, yeah.
But yeah, and he does it. And Shane's like, this guy, like, there should be like a girl. But was there, do you remember a specific show though, Cam? Like one where you did
Man.
I remember listening to one of yours. It wasn't one I was on, but it was one where I wish I had been on. I started, just for
which
the
one?
audience, I will like start really bugging Cam, like, oh, you got to let me know every show because I'll see one that he'll invite me on. And it's like, I have actually don't know shit about this. And then I'll be like, but I'll join because, you know,
I'm going to give you more.
but then I'll see
content.
ones where it's like, oh, I wish you would let me know. You know, I wish I had been on that. Like it was a Mad Max one. I was like, please God, I should have been on that one.
Well, you wouldn't have liked that one because we kind of had too many hot takes.
Oh. But do you remember one that just it flowed well, or do you like the topic? You had cool guests or anything like that?
I'm going to get... There's been several, and you
Okay.
guys have actually helped restore some sanity, and that's...
That's for some of you who heard that one.
Because you kind of like to think outside the box and use humor to get everyone's attention instead of for cheap shock value. And but yeah, most of this team was formed through a Mystery Science Theater gang, of all things.
Yes.
We've had fun doing annual mental health and fitness discussions, but
That's cool.
I feel like the Mr. Rogers episode, which
Oh.
just came out this December, actually brought us out of our comfort zone, and some of us actually got
Yeah.
teary-eyed.
Oh,
And
Yeah, that's a cool.
me included, because we were actually just realizing there's actually selfless people out there.
Yes, that's right.
Mhm.
That's a
They're
great
few and
point.
far in between,
Yes.
and it even made us start talking about what's the difference between a Captain Kangaroo type public access show and what's one that just characters burst into song and dance but don't actually teach you how to write or do math. You know, so it was just interesting to saying, how do you do a entertaining education program without it just being oversaturated or distracting you from learning, you know?
Yeah.
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 And-
That.
Or
That's
it's
a great
good,
point.
but not effective past the age of 7, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say, you know, and you look at some of these beloved sort of entertainers that also were good people, you know, your Bob Ross, LeVar Burton, Reading Rainbow, and Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, king among them. And I'd say right now, Miss Rachel is probably going to go down as someone we look back and say, you know, I mean, already she's amazing, but stuff like that.
I have
so
heard of her.
incredible.
Nice.
She's
Oh,
amazing. Yeah, she. But you know, yeah, and it seems like you know we record another episode. We were talking about convention stuff, and another one we talked about Shatner, and a lot of it was like, yeah, and then this celebrity, you know, separating art from artist, and it's like, yeah, then they suck, and you know, and
In that order.
Milkshake Duck. For those of us that are terminally online, the milkshake duck thing, right? So
The
it's like,
milkshake duck.
and it's so rare that it's almost like I don't want to hold anyone up as idol because it's just a matter of time before they turn almost, you know, and
No one's perfect,
so the
right?
fact
They got
that
famous
these
overnight.
people,
It's too good to
these
be true.
people have sort of held on and been really great, and it seems like all the ones that managed to do it were people that worked in children's stories. And even if you look at like a Paul Rubens,
Yes.
his bit of controversy,
yeah.
like fuck off, he's jerking off.
Yeah.
It's Florida, they require you to.
Yeah.
Well, and then we found out how that DA was basically going on bad tips and said, like, hey,
Oh.
maybe
Well,
one
it must
of
have
the
been a good tip they found him.
one of the porn videos he's watching must be underage. It's like, well, that's just
Oh,
it.
wait,
It's-
I did not. No, I thought the only time he got busted was for
I,
jerking
At the
off in a
theater?
theater.
right,
Yeah,
right.
that's how it
But,
is,
but
yeah.
but later a guy was like, oh,
Oh.
one of the videos must be child porn, and we're going to accuse your client of this. And and basically,
it was just
basically the
balls.
lawyer was like, tell him whatever, and they'll take off whatever bullshit, even though it's still bullshit what you're accusing him of. But it is also a good excuse for you to actually do your own homework. And so, I mean, that's why I'm starting a true crime history podcast. It's not just that I'm confident at that level. Now I think it's time to talk about stories that don't get discussed.
Finally, a true crime podcast.
Well, but it would also be history, and we would talk about entertainment scandals. But unfortunately, most people like to just focus on the clickbait or just picking teams. And it's like, but you're losing any sense of what does this pertain and how does this impact
Wait a second.
how we think of celebrities.
That's why I'm renaming the segment Top 10 Most Controversial. You won't
There you
believe
go.
number 6.
So you just went into
How did they
clickbait.
not get canceled after this?
But,
Is there a true crime podcast that's done by a man? Aren't they all done by women?
there's a lot of guys, especially.
I think that was the controversial thing you just said. Yes, there are.
It's definitely
Yes,
controversial.
Simon Whistler made his entire career on that.
Hey, I would listen to one that was just about gender wars, but going back to the overall structure, I mean, you had some fun guests, most of them being work buddies who were even
Yeah,
confident
but you
going on the show.
Yeah, I will say that I want to go back to you really quick though. You rotate guests much more. You're also much more.
I tried to split it up, saying
You also reach out to more people. We were talking about this in a different segment that you
It's
stay
not
in touch
easy.
with people. No, I know it's not. That's
there's plenty of times where they give you there was one guy who said, I'm interested. And everything I gave him, he was like, I don't have time. I'm not interested. And I was like, so I can't. Some of them do come off as borderline bipolar because they're giving you so much yes and no. Like there was one person there's one person who trolled my wall saying, oh, you should have told me this thing was on. I'm like, I literally sent you 2 different invites, 5, and you said no to every them or you flaked out. So don't tell me I didn't invite you.
Like very recently you did one, not the Muppets one, but you did a roast. I think it was a Star Wars roast.
We did the Star Wars roast. I'm glad you got
I can't remember
Adam
who it is.
Spiegelman. Yes.
Yeah, you got like I don't want to say a celebrity, but a well-known.
Yeah.
guy.
I asked him,
And
here's what you sure you
he
want
was
to do
awesome,
this?
and he
Here's
did
what we're
it
doing.
like you could see all his equipment. I'm like, oh boy, here we go, good lighting, and he did a proper roast. I came with nothing,
And he was
I
entertained
does he really
by-
mean it? Like you did it the way you do it. He's like, oh, he had a type 5. It was amazing. It was
He
cool
was
to watch a
entertained
pro
by
work.
your story structure and Gil's roast.
I really
but
don't need you to riz me up. Thank you though.
I'm not.
I'm already confident enough. Appreciate
Trust
you,
me,
buddy.
I'm not. He loved you guys, but that's the thing. We thought we had to go above supernatural, abnormal standards.
So, yeah, you see Balin. Sorry. I'm talking about that.
Not good.
So I don't. No, I really like that. I think what you just said about the Mr. Rogers one being a good one, that would have been amazing. I should listen to that one. And I think you've hit the nail on the head, Cam, when you do these shows, that it's usually the ones that stand out because of how they're different. We just recently, we're talking just in the last couple of weeks, on Predator Minute,
Yep.
did something that I definitely did not feel comfortable with at first.
that
We
was
had
really
a kid
cool.
on. We famously do an R-rated podcast. I say famously in that we make a point of always saying, look, in the Movies by Minute community, it's not your podcast should match the rating of the movie. It's there's no one's going to enforce that, but it's a good rule of thumb, right?
Yeah.
Because you got to assume if someone's watching Princess Bride and they want to hear a podcast about Princess Bride, you don't just say fuck and talk about dicks all the time, you know. But it's Predator.
It's
so I was
hard
like,
to do, but I know what you mean. Yes. Yeah.
and but you know, so, and it was kind of last minute, so it's like we didn't have prep. To this day, my house is still a little wrecked because I had to go hide everything in my house and just try and clean up for her more than anything else. But she came in. We haven't dropped it yet. By the time you hear this, audience, it might be out. So it would be one of the later minutes. It would probably be like minutes 65 through 76.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
But either way, anyway, point is, she was on. She was incredible. She was 12, 11.
Oh wow.
And,
12,
and
12 or 13.
and it was one of my favorite episodes. There's a little bit of recency bias because I can remember it.
Perfect time to get into R-rated movies.
But it made me want to do it more, I guess, is to like get out of, as we were talking on the convention one, kind of get out of my comfort zone a little bit, because it forced me to, I don't know, not just rely on the same old tricks or something.
Well, and also, you know,
Yeah.
as being a younger person, she has a very different perspective, a very different way of thinking of things, and a very different set of things she noticed in these scenes that we didn't really even notice, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, wow, this is really cool, you know?
Yeah, she wasn't held back at all by acknowledge, like, well, someone else will say this, or someone else already knows this. And nothing she said would I have been like, okay, I'm sort of patroning her. I'm like, yeah, of course. And like everyone knows it. She saw something we didn't see.
Yeah.
Because
Kid eyes, man.
yeah, she's like, oh, the body
Yeah.
disappears. And we're like, no, it just looks like that. And I'll admit, I kind of like dismissed it because I was like, oh, you just don't understand how films work. And I was like, she's like, no, it disappears. And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think it does.
I mean,
and then we
look
watch
and
it like frame by
bullshit.
frame. And I was like, oh, no, it just goes in the shadow. And I was like, no, wait, no, it does. It does fucking disappear.
Vanishes.
They cut it because probably the prop, when it landed, looked like shit. And they're like, fuck
Yeah.
it, no one will notice. She did. Also, like at one point, we're like, translate this scene into like Gen Alpha slang, you know, like 6-7. and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
She doesn't miss a beat. She just did it. Talk about improv. She was like, boom, just nailed it. And I was like, that fucking slayed. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But
It's good.
Anyway, that was really
perspective.
neat. We don't have as big of a listenership as you do, Cam, but when we have
it's
received
still a big
stuff,
part of the movie minutes.
yeah, when we have received stuff, it's been awesome, and it's been really cool things. I think you had started
get
to allude to
another-
it, Cam, like getting friends in, but still sometimes they have a specialized knowledge. I think actually that's worked in our favor,
I'll get
right?
more
Because rather than
people-
bringing people on for their celebrity, oh, go ahead, Cam.
I'll get more people to connect with you on Blue Sky, the safe
yeah.
zone. Because
Yes, I do like Blue
That-
Sky. You
that-
mentioned earlier, it's so much more healthy. I agree.
just science apps before you go to bed, and
yeah, I
instead
love
of
it, but
Doomsday. And
we brought on a friend of ours that's a marine biologist. Well, my couple favorites.
Yeah,
we've
that
had
was a-
is
that was a
we're
good
bringing in
one.
an army guy because I mean he
Yeah.
was like a major and he's been in multiple.
Well, we've
combats.
had two because we had the
Yes,
one
we had
from
Lee
the
as
UK.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
Lee.
was one of my favorites, especially when he started harping on Americans for overpronouncing ours, and I was like, "Hey man, how do you say Hannah?" Hannah.
Honor.
Yeah.
Honor. There's
Like,
extra.
oh,
But
no.
yeah, our one
No,
friend.
he was fucking great.
Yeah,
That
I don't
was-
remember. I think it was
Honor.
Dave instead of him. I talked about the scene in Predator. Like,
Everyone-
is this a good? Like, is this how you would move? to
15
jungle?
meters
He's like,
spread and they're all next to each other.
And he's like, yeah, you totally. When you're walking through and you're in a military unit, you definitely want one grenade to kill you all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yes, of course you're going to do that for a camera shot. You know, you got to have all your
Yeah.
actors there, but. For a military person, you're just like a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
I was like, but it's something you don't think about. But like those little observations. Then we had a friend of ours who's a marine biologist.
Oh yeah.
And he's like looking at the predator and he's like, well, there must be some sort of, he looks like he might have some sort of amphibian stuff because of the glistening of the skin. And then we got like a listener from Germany
Oh,
who works
a
in
biologist.
zoology.
Yeah.
Yeah. Biologist is like, I've often observed the same thing. And you look at the feet, there's like, I'm like, holy shit.
Yep.
And it's really neat to like those little perspectives. And
Yeah.
those are the things I really liked.
And that's what we're supposed to be picking out, you know, watching it 1 minute at a time. You know, we're trying to
more
find those
objective.
things that these people that nerd out on something, you know, they'll pick up because that's their field of interest, you know. It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, it's something that's been a running theme tonight, Cam, but it's
Not a
this
running
idea of-
man, but a running theme.
That's right, running.
running theme.
Yeah, the running. Who did that song for the Running Man? That was so good. That
Paulo
that was a
Abdul
very,
or
like,
something. Yeah.
No,
Anyway.
not the one that's like yeah, that one is the one. I mean it's
end
not like
credits.
that's Predator, but
Yeah.
I
it's
think
a
I
really
know.
cool.
I don't remember the running
Anyway,
man. Okay.
going back, but
Anyway,
what you learn in sort of podcasting, and this is why I say it's kind of meta because it's like a podcast about podcasts now, but doing this is I sort of bring it back to that origin story, and it's nice because I do this for work now too, is what you find you rely on more than anything else is an already existing body of work about how improv works. If there is anything closest, if you were going to learn podcasting, I would say learn improv. I've never done like improv training, formal improv training the way you have, Cam, but I know of it and I know a lot of the sort of techniques. I wouldn't mind doing it, except it kind of scares me a little bit. But, you know, this idea of yes-anding, you know, this idea of, you know, adding on to what someone's saying, this idea of not ever shutting an idea down, all those sort of things are what are required to sort of herd cats, especially the way you do it, Cam, where you have
It does
6
go
or
back
7
to
people,
improv.
where you have to figure out what they're. Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You
It's
have
more
to
that than anything
accept,
else.
don't reject, because then
Yes.
you
Yeah.
just
Keep it rolling and not.
And- just kind of like you're gonna do a review is like, you know why this doesn't work, so just spill the beans. Don't hold back, but at the same time, don't confuse that with I'm gonna be unfiltered and I'm gonna be a dick, obviously. But
Yes.
also, you're seeing just so many who make you reevaluate yourself and how you do this and that. And unfortunately, so many podcasts that I used to listen to, I just gave up on because they were kind of just finding ways to be needlessly snarky or just drive each other crazy. It's like, so now I just heard an argument.
Podsy murder.
There you go. Pods of murder. But yeah, it's just like, don't record an argument for 2 hours. Actually, just have a fun.
Yeah, we almost never edit nowadays. Our listeners know that.
But at least you're not arguing.
No, but that's exactly it. When we first started, I don't know how you were, Aaron. I'd be curious to know, but I was definitely more focused on the technical aspects. I don't mean the tech side like you, like the electronics.
I
mean,
wasn't always.
Stop saying stop saying don't have pauses, try not to misspeak, do your research at a time. And those are fine. Those are great. Modulate your voice, watch your volume, know where to sit. That's what I'm calling the technical aspects. And instead, what I've learned, like I said, is it's more of those improv lessons. Like let the guests speak, let them come and help them bring what it is. Because any compliments we've ever received have to do with the guests. We never get something like, I mean, they'll say you guys are great, but it's almost always a specific guest or a specific topic. Or in the minute, we allowed it to kind of like breathe. We allowed it to happen. We didn't worry
If it's
too much
been
about
too quiet, then you can jump in.
Don't try and force a joke.
Yeah.
If the mood's going somber, let it happen. Like let it flow, and it takes a while.
People are genuinely interesting,
They are, and they will have a perspective. They will bring something. And
now, if you're doing,
it's almost more your job to stay out of their way, if anything else.
If you're the only person doing the talking, I can understand the cause for concern. But yeah, don't talk over them. That happens sometimes. Sometimes I do have to have some of the guys say, "All right, one at a time."
Yeah.
I know you want to talk so bad, but this person literally is going to lose his train of thought if you don't let him speak for 1 second.
Oh,
yeah. So what's interesting, and one thing that's different on our 2 setups, Kim, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you've only ever done remotely, right? You always do remote. So you do have the ability to mute someone if you needed to. We always do in-house. I think twice maybe we've had remote, and it does not worked out. I don't think it's worked out. I think now you don't see this audience, but we can see each other. We keep video on, and I think that's so important. I could not imagine doing this all audio because I need visual cues, and we're a little spoiled because we do it in-house. We always do it in our studio here, but
yeah, sometimes the internet craps out on me. But the main thing, I think we'll try some live shows in the future as well. You're just like, okay, time to go live on this whatever site, and we'll definitely keep experimenting regardless of where this goes, and just be open to all kinds of other things. I would definitely love to do a live show, but like you say, I would have to research.
Yeah. You did great, by the way. I did this should go in the other segment if you want to edit it in. But I know we did more bitching and moaning, but we finally did do our first podcast recording live. This was all of our first times doing it live, and I mean live in the sense of we weren't in studio. We were at a convention. There was an audience.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and Aaron, I'm probably putting words in your mouth, but I felt like you were frustrated because the technical aspects, in this case, I'm really the technology.
Yeah, everything
like
was just
they
jacked.
didn't give us anything that we needed. We needed a screen, didn't have that. We needed a table, we didn't have that. We literally hand holding mics. We're fucking doing it live in the most true sense.
we were like, I guess we'll keep going this way,
and
even though this part's not working. So
and then on top of it, the computer wasn't working.
And then it looked like no one's going to show up. And at that point, I was almost relieved. I was like, good. Because, again, I don't like being in front of people.
Well, Phil,
but then all of a sudden, it packed.
Yeah.
And it was a mix of people we've known, but I didn't know they were going to be there, and literal strangers, people that came in from the podcast. And they also moved our room. I forgot about that. So people are like, where are you guys?
Josh is on like 4 hours of sleep. He's like, I'm coming out. I'm going to clap automatically. I'm like, oh, you don't have to do that.
And so we're there, and we made it happen. And Shane, I want to say, also did a great job.
He was so good at
Shane, good job. He
getting people.
He was like literally dancing, and like
he was dancing.
And
so
and Cam,
awesome.
you are too. Like but that's the skill is, and it's another thing to do it live of like, so what did you think? What did you think? I'm sitting there trying to remember my lines more or less, like just get through it. And I will say that, not to put myself down too much, I do think I do a good job of like, okay, we're on this subject now, do this, like hit my time notes. I think that's probably more through work. Okay, we've been 15 minutes, we've got to move to this, let's talk about this
keep
now.
the organization
the
going.
organization.
Yeah.
But then I'm always like, shit, I just forgot to make jokes. Which works really well when you're like, make a joke now.
Well, see, that was so funny though, is then someone else would be talking and you would get to a point, and so then that's when your reactions comes out. So that was your joking tribute, where it's like, you were like, Shane, how did you know about that? Cam, you don't curse generally around me. And so it was just funny how it was back and forth.
You cursed. Still recovering from that.
Oh my God. But A-aron, you did interact a bit, even though there were times where it's like, I'm going back to the computer. I'm trying
God. Oh,
the video of it's just him like banging on a key and smoke coming out of his ears.
But even though you were angry, the anger didn't fill the room. So I think that was good. And
it's one of those things that, we say it's true on podcasts, it's true of any performance, stage, and anything else, is that the audience doesn't know you fucked up.
Yeah.
They only see what they see. They don't know.
Conventions, they're still recovering, whether or not they've had coffee or not. Just they're getting in.
But this is like, I have had some public training or public speaking training, and that's one of the things they'll constantly tell you is like, you may misspeak, you may have skipped a line.
Play through the mistake.
But they don't know that.
Yeah.
They don't know that. They cannot see the teleprompter. They cannot see the monitor. They don't know what you practiced. So if you're like, in Texas, and they're like, which is what they used to be called before they changed the name. Like, they don't know you stuttered. You could either play it off or whatever. You could just be like, it used to be called Texas, actually. A lot of people don't know. So you can fake it, and like they shortened it because it didn't look right on a license plate or whatever, or you can just be like, move on.
And it's organic because it's not like you're doing a live stream on the internet.
But it's like those sort of things, but you can get caught up. I remember when I was very young, doing public speaking in a class, and I just froze up and just left the room because I was so embarrassed,
It's the worst.
But now it's like, you could do it, just whatever.
Well, in college, doing an acting class is great because you're actually learning how to stick to your character and consistency, while in theater, it's pretty much say the line on time and you get at least a C, And so it's taking out the whole, it goes back to what my dad used to say, is like, you passed, but did you learn the subject? It's like, good question. Right. Realistically, I probably just aced it and I'm going to forget it. So, but if I'm still quoting it, I might learn it and enable it into real life conversation and work related activities. But yeah, I mean, but this was such an organic crowd. This isn't the same. You're not going to get that on a live stream where you're going to get equal parts interactivity and equal parts troll or bots.
Yeah. There's no safety doing it live, and it was frightening as shit, but I'm super glad we did it.
Yeah.
That was a highlight. If we were sticking in the Spotify rap type thing for the year, sort of milestone.
It could have been way worse.
Big one for me. Yeah.
It could have been.
It could have been way worse. It could have been so bad to where we just went and were angry at our hotel. There were two people there that I didn't know. I mean, there were a couple other people I didn't know, but there were two like guys that were sitting up there. And we had asked them a question. They were the only ones actually asked a question. We're like, any questions, anything you want to know? And they asked us about, were we excited about Badlands, which now obviously has come out, but at that time hadn't.
The Predator movie,
And so we all kind of talked about our feelings on that. And, then, as we kind of asked them the question, like, what do you guys think? Do you want to see it? What do you think? And I don't know. That's cool. It's, there's a certain aspect of podcasting that, if we're going to be really real, it does give you some joy of like, no one can stop me from talking. I could just say what I want. The Joe Rogan brain of like, people are just listening to me. No one can stop me.
The P brain, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah. So to have someone like, I want to hear your opinion. It's like, oh yeah, that's what, that's that man side of me of being like, yeah, that's right.
Tell us how you really feel.
I can mansplain this for 3 hours.
Yeah. It's like my opinion matters because no one can mute me.
Yeah.
But that was pretty cool. That was a good experience. I know, A-aron, you're stressed, but I do want to also say, you came through, and like, you were the one responsible for all the tech. No one else was.
I know what to do.
And we asked you to put a PowerPoint together
But
and do
we
this
instantly started
and
making,
physically carry everything.
We started making an invisible checklist, basically. It's like, okay, so whenever we do this next time, here's what we won't do. Here's what time we'll get.
Yeah.
Here's
What you just said about the theater stuff. There was a Malcolm Gladwell thing, I think.
I love that, dude.
10 years ago, the 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
and there's a well-known thing in sports. It doesn't matter how many hours you put in. It's whether you practice with intentionality, meaning like what you just said, Cam, about what your dad said. Like
the 80-20 principle, right?
It's like, it doesn't matter if you took the class or got an A. It's like, did you learn something? That's like practice with intentionality. It's like, if you just kick the ball 50 fucking times, it's nothing. But if you're like, each single time being like, okay, I need this to bend left. Why did it not? Why did, I'm using soccer as here, but it could be anything, right? Mm-hmm. Why didn't it? What did I mess up on this particular one? What am I doing right now that's different? I'm tired more than I am. So how does that affect my game? You know, you're thinking about it. It's in your head. You're not just like, there, I've done it. I've done 20 hours because I heard once that I had to do 10,000. That will get you fucking nowhere. Yeah. And it's the same with any of these skills, right? I try to take something from these, like what, you know, it's okay, you know, to beat yourself up a little bit of being like, I could have done this better. And no one likes to hear their voice, by the way. You know, but I have.
I like hearing my voice, but there was years of hating, self-loathing. I hate how I look. I hate how I sound. Yes, how do I change that?
That's what I mean. Yeah.
So, I think it's more we don't hate our voice so much as we hate how it sounds because it's not how we think we sound. And
that's what I meant to say. Yes, good point.
We're also trying to avoid being like the ego-heavy celebs that we loathe. You know, so.
It does give you an opportunity, though, which is very rare, and you should embrace it, which is getting to see yourself from the outside. That's very rare. And
a moment where I felt we are not welcome here at all. Right. You know, I was going into corners where he was like, wow, I'm seeing people who have that hallway study and they're playing D&D and I want to watch in real time, you know, and they're okay with that. They're not going to look at you and be like, you're not cool.
You're talking about the convention, man.
Yeah, at the convention. So it's just like there's
the bathroom still looked a lot like a locker room, and I got beat up by big dudes in Letterman jackets.
But they were cosplaying. It's
they were cosplaying. They weren't beating.
But we're switching the topics here, but our first time going to Tampa Bay Comic-Con, I think Shane and I hit it out of the park, even though we didn't mean to.
That was the best.
Is that he went as Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds, who later on, by the way, Donald Gibb, if you ever hear this, thank you so much for the cameo for us. Yes, you're amazing. Thank you, your cameo. We still watch this day. But anyway, Shane went as Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds. I went as Johnny from Karate Kid.
Nice. And Johnny Lawrence,
we were like, we're the guys that beat up nerds in 80s movies, you know what I mean? And a few guys got it, right? And like, put me in a headlock and take a picture. And it was, at that time, the convention, specifically Tampa Bay Comic Convention, was brand new. And people weren't quite ready for it yet. But their kids are going to love it. But I would love to revisit it. But I like that idea of like, you know, here's the nerds. But at this point, you know, here's the jocks, here's the nerds. And we were talking about having kids on.
Yeah.
That kind of idea has gone away.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not quite there. Yeah, I think having bullying. I mean, there's still bullying, but like those special delineated roles, because there's nobody who doesn't know what the Marvel movies are and stuff like that. Like,
right.
But that's kind of neat, right? It's like the nerds have joined. We've all joined together and in one sort of thing, you know, like podcasting is somehow cool. It's like one of the nerdiest things you can do, and then you got these like
you have an
manosphere
unofficial
freaks doing it too.
It's a bit of that. You can start an unofficial army. I kept trying to do that with all the guys dressed up as Battlefield or Call of Duty guys. It's like, hey, I need your help. Can you be our tactical team? We're gonna raid the store. So
yeah, there's so many people do Wolverine and Deadpool that almost every year they all kind of meet up and do like a picture all together, which is really
cool. Lovely. And the biggest takeaway was definitely the comic book writers, because they can tell stories for hours and then they want to pick your brain and say, so what conventions have you been to? What have you seen? What's this comic book line or TV show I thought was famous for 2 minutes?
So do you think, going back just real quick, that the Deadpool, the second Deadpool movie where they had all the different Deadpools, do you think that was inspired by Comic-Con?
Yeah, it had to be.
Yeah, well, a little bit. I mean, in the comics themselves, though, there has been that idea of like all these different ones, but there was that too. I would say.
Well, I wonder if they got the idea for like dog pool and all the different
dog pool,
like just going to Comic-Con.
Spider Pig.
It kills me that that's fucking Rob Liefeld. It kills me that the worst comic writer has that. But all right, so I was looking back at the past of our podcasts. Future. Ghost of Christmas Future now. Time to wrap this up.
Let's do it.
What would you like to? What is a milestone? So if I was saying milestone for me, that was cool doing the live one. And although it wasn't a milestone, it was a cool memory or whatever you want to call it, checklist that I didn't even know existed. Having a kid on, I wouldn't mind doing that again.
Yeah.
What in 2026 would you like to see, Cam, like in your podcasting journey, or your own personal? What would you like to do this coming year? What would bring you joy?
I definitely am open to just how to say this without sounding pretentious. Just kind of find just some other cool personas who can tell us stories about kind of the evolution of internet and podcasting, like the origin of it.
Oh, interesting.
And we can kind of play off of that and be like, I do kind of vaguely recall that when that was a thing, but kind of give an unofficial history lesson, if you will.
I like those sort of things.
Instead of just, well, I missed it. I don't really know what you're talking about.
The evolution of RSS and all that.
I'd mentioned in a segment that won't be connected to the one that you're listening to now, listener, but I had mentioned Magellar's. He's a YouTuber that does these sort of histories, often of video games and sort of obscure stuff. But there's a lot of YouTubers and podcasters that are doing, basically, I would call it modern histories. Merritt K just put a wonderful book out that I have here as well, too, called Land Party. That's a visual history of land parties. And, there is a history there. It's just that we think of things in our lifetime as not being sort of worthy, or someone has to do it. Someone needs to collect a history of these things, right? That was a specific point in time, and it will not come back because that's just not how things work.
It's not how it works.
It was a specific point that would have only worked at that time. You could do the same for video rental stores. I'm sure there is one, by the way. If you know of one, send us in a recommendation. But for those of us of a certain age, there was about a 15 to 20, maybe less than that, year period of time when your local gas station had movies that you could rent.
I miss those days.
And
it literally stopped happening for years ago.
There'd be like 8 or 9. and then the big box stores came and then they stopped. But all of those, there were certain things that anyone of that time would know, like, oh, then there's a beaded curtain, and that meant the adult ones are in the back. Or, you had to go you had to go with whatever they had available, or you would always open it and check, because very rarely was the tape that was advertised on the cover actually in there, or buying a thing just because of what you saw on the cover. Like I remember the movie Ants, and being like, ooh, ants, and then
there's
I don't like horror.
Straight to video type shit.
Well, because that term did not exist yet. There's another one. You know what I mean? We didn't think of
not in a theater. Not
we didn't
even
know straight to video because that had never been a thing before.
And
the concept was there. It was
business model was
it
there.
was
They were
happening.
doing it,
But we didn't have that term, so we did not understand. We just assumed
it was. It had to have been at a theater.
Right? That's
I
the only
missed
way
it.
movies work.
Like dead end drive-in and shit. Like what the fuck?
Well, then there were posters where it was like, it's so catchy, I'm gonna have to rent this, even though I don't know if this is a comedy made for HBO. That's how it was for me. Or if it's theaters. Yeah.
This is probably giving away my age, but the reason the first of the Star Wars films I saw in theater was Return of the Jedi, and I was leaving E.T. maybe, and I saw a theater, and it was done, if you remember the classic Return of the Jedi one where Luke's standing, and it's like a Conan reference where he's standing kind of almost on top of a pile of bodies and Leia's reaching up, and it's Return of the Jedi. Yeah,
I thought that was the original one.
No.
Star Wars. Oh,
you're thinking of You're thinking of the pit where they're trapped, A-aron, but
No, I'm talking about the movie poster.
Yeah.
I think they did a remake on Sunday. I could be wrong. Look it up. But either way, if not, look up the one for Return of the Jedi original.
Revenge of the
83.
Jedi.
This was the
Return
original
to-
one for Star Wars.
Okay, but look at the 83
Okay,
if
and
you
then-
could,
and
Return
I'll
of
look
Jedi.
at Return
So
of
I remember
Jedi.
seeing it with my father. I don't have a perfect memory of it, but I do
Cliff,
remember that
I
it
am
was
your father.
the poster
Yeah.
leaving another film, and I was like, I want to see that. Now, my dad had probably seen the other two. I have no idea, but I saw Return of the Jedi first.
Yeah, that was the movie poster for Return of the Jedi.
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Okay.
So that to me, I think screamed like I don't know, to me like Conan or something. Like
Okay.
it had like a certain like warrior aspect and
A
very
fantasy
visually
in
striking.
space. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I want to see that, and so my dad was like, fine, that's the first one I saw, and then I think actually I'd probably seen Star Wars because they did do a TV release, but I didn't understand how all that worked. I was only 6 at this point.
Okay.
But
So we could do that with even
Anyway,
podcasts. 'cause
anyway,
there's
going back
times
because this was brought on by talking about sort of a modern history, and so that's what you were saying, Cam.
people are trying to rewrite.
for this
That's
year in
the first
2026.
podcast I heard. It's like,
Yeah.
no, they've been around for years. It's just
My
it
first,
was-
there's a good one. Hang on, I want to go back to that. That struck me as something.
Sure.
But yeah, so 2026, you said you want to kind of get some like guests or topics that are more about histories of specific topics rather than just like that. You also had mentioned that you want to start doing some true crime. So that's another
Yes.
thing in 2026 you'd like to
we're
hit as a
working
milestone.
on that, and so now it's a matter of just when to schedule the episodes. When will that show, premiere on all the different devices? But you got to have content, stored up, ready to edit first before
Right.
you launch. So
Yeah.
it'll definitely be more monthly.
What was your first podcast that you remember? Like, what got you into podcast? Do you remember?
So this is the irony.
Go on.
I had wanted to do it for years. I did it with some filmmaker buddies. Don't worry, we're still friends. And I didn't like the format at all. And I said, I'm spending too much time being the technical bitch.
That was the first one you were on. What was the first podcast you listened to? Like, what got you into podcasts? Do you remember your first podcast?
I tried listening to a few like radio programs and I wasn't properly downloading it. So it might have been How Did This Get Made was the one.
That's a good one. Yeah. Mine was
downloading.
Futility Closet, which is funny because
Utility Closet.
Oh, yeah.
Futility
That's one of
Closet.
the first ones I listened to.
Yeah, and I sent that to A-aron, and I don't know if you had started having to do those really long drives.
Yeah,
but
it was.
you had.
That's why
so
I started
he was like,
listening.
whatever,
Yeah.
I'll listen to these things. And there was a real blurring of the lines because you mentioned just radio shows a second ago. Because back then we had podcasts. It's a weird term because I was like, it's just a recorded radio show.
Subscribed already.
Futility Closet's off the air now. You can listen to old episodes, but that's basically like quirky little weird sorts of history. But that's almost just how we got in A-aron, because you were talking about I think Greg is his name. You were like, I can hear the wetness of his voice, and I hate that.
Wait, no. Yeah. That's right.
And
I was thinking, you're not that smart.
Oh yeah,
but then
that was
the
another good
Futility
one, too.
Closet was the one where he was.
You all up into the microphone.
Oh my God.
And so I don't notice these things, but he does, again because of his background. And that
And
kind
the
of got thinking, I was like, so how do you avoid
Simon.
that? And he's like, well, you need this and that and all that stuff. But so that's all right. So you said how it got made. That was one of my early ones too. But Futility Cause mine. Now, A-aron, 2026. So we did the live one this year. Do you have like kind of goals for podcasts? What would you like to get done?
I'd like to redo the live podcast, but do it like full on successfully. Like, I like
All right.
that to work out.
Yeah. And something else you said to me, and I don't know if you're still hype on this,
There's-
is
yeah.
to do something outside of the movies by minute thing that we've kind of been locked onto. Didn't you say you wanted to kind of break out of that a little bit?
Yeah. Do like more, I can't remember specifics.
I don't think you said. I think you just said you wanted to kind of.
But yeah,
mix it up a little
something
bit.
that was more like, you pick like a topic, like maybe a movie or something, and just discuss it, break it
Sure.
apart, the whole thing without really.
If you want to discuss anything,
Do more like
say,
theme.
yeah.
Do more thematic, more general types.
Oh,
That would
I-
allow us our guest group to kind of
Well,
expand.
so-
Yeah.
From this point forth, though, we definitely. I'm glad you're mentioning themed. That seems to be where you get the most interaction. You have a themed week, so that is where, from this point on, every October is X-Files month. But
Yeah.
this year we're gonna have Star Wars month, Godfather month, and it'll go with the theme. And everything in April is basically comedy related because April Fools. But Star Wars is going to come out in May because May the 4th. And so there's ways to keep up with it. We'll do more theme stuff like Lord of the Rings week and Mad Scientist week, Puppet week. It was always fun. So it is fun kind of having an annual kind of tradition. We're going to bring this up one more time.
I was
puppets and clowns.
One of the
I don't know about clowns, but that's a whole different story.
One of the podcasts that did really well this year. I don't know where it finally ended up on the final rankings, but it's called Normal Gossip, right? It's Kelsey McKinnon,
Normal Gossip.
Am I right about that? And the idea being like people just kind of telling stories, like almost like secrets that they know. But obviously, like here's a story you never been able to tell, but obviously you're going to do it anonymously and then kind of discussing that. I remember one where it was like, oh, we were at camping and we saw this girl leave her tent and go into this other person's tent, and it's like, oh, and kind of talking about this whole idea of like it ended up evolving into an idea about like cheating and stuff, and like when do you tell someone a secret and when do you not? When is it your responsibility? Right. So it ends up being these broader conversations to start from this gossipy story.
That's cool.
My friend Amberly and Jamie were just talking about doing one, and so I guess there's going to be a plug for that depending on what comes out.
That'd be great.
I like that. You start from a small story and you move into like a moral dilemma.
And again, but it wasn't meant to be. It's just more be like, let's see where it evolves. I like the idea. Like I said, so Amberly and Jamie are going to do one, and right now, so working title, and we'll put in show notes if it changes. Couch serving, so it's like couch
serving.
And like serving is in the modern sense of like she's serving. I'm not going to finish the rest of that sentence because I don't think that's a word we don't use here. But that idea of like we're going to be here and we're going to be friends, but then we're also going to bring someone else on and kind of discuss through this idea. And it's still evolving, but
it's almost like
I do like
bottle.
This idea, because as A-aron, I think you probably agree. Like, I think we like guesting more than doing our own.
Yeah.
Not just out of laziness, but I like talking about broader topics. It's a very specific thing to talk about a movie for a minute. It's like a research side, and it's that, and we very much have defined roles in those. Like, we often call it the play-by-play and the color commentator, and and it's fine. And like we said, bringing the guests on, but I really like this idea of doing something else. So I guess I'll turn it back on myself and say that. I think I just mentioned that Futility Clause was my first. Sorry, I didn't ask you, Aaron, the other question. What was your first podcast?
Oh, my first well, I think mostly I was listening to like BBC, like intellectual stuff. Like, oh God, I can't remember some of their names.
Mr. Bean.
But it was all like science stuff. So I can't remember.
There was one, I think it's called In Our Time for the BBC. Have you ever listened to that one?
I've
it's a history
listened to
podcast. That's
In Our Time.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What were some of the science ones? I can't remember. But
because the beauty of it is, it isn't just talking about the news or discussing infamous murders. It can be all kind. And there's plenty. I'm glad you guys are bringing up some of the gossip stuff because like there's plenty of podcasts I've listened to for years that are just hysterical convention experiences or locker room stories. But it's amazing how many people are like. They'll be kind of do a Conan O'Brien where they'll be self-deprecating. No one's listening to our show, but realistically, it's like they know that's not true. It's like you have a knack. It's basically three best friends who are very charismatic, so we're gonna listen to your stories.
Well, I was on. We mentioned them, I think, on this show, if not on a different one. But our mutual friends of the show, Hans. Do you remember the name of his football
comic
one?
book club?
No, his football one. His football one. The Lions and. Either way,
yes,
I was on that this year.
Lions.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's not just call
and he runs
called Lions.
But
anyway,
he runs
I was
the website Baseball's Bastard Son. Yes.
Yeah, and that was the first time I'd been on a sports podcast, and it's not American football specifically too. It was like I don't know if I know, but they were very welcoming and they had good banter, and and you see a lot on TV, right? So it's like, and it was also my first time. I mean, I've done video ones. My work one's a video one, and I've done others. But they were like, "You're gonna be on video." So I was like, I was in Vegas at the time, so I had the background of Vegas behind me naturally, and kind of dressed up a little bit with all the sports stuff, and had a bunch of facts. And it's a different setting. So I guess it's kind of like what you said, Aaron. This year, I'd like to do more videos because it's a new skill.
Video part,
yeah. I'd like to do that as a just do more YouTube stuff.
Definitely being on more shows.
It's more, it's the next level of the skill. We talked about hearing your own voice and kind of getting past that. And now it's the next step of how do people see you?
Yep.
And, even like, again, the technical aspects, I have powder. I'm a bald man. So it's like having powder for your head so you don't shine, or like having a ring light and like where you're framed and, using your hands after you've been taught not to on a podcast.
Right.
And
like this.
Yeah. That kind of stuff I'd like to do more of in this year. So that would be something, just kind of expanding the horizons a little bit. It kind of almost works with that live idea. Like, let's now take this next level. Let's do this. I wouldn't mind also, I don't know if it's a 2026 thing or just in general, but moving towards more of like Cam, what you do. I don't want to say scripted, but scripted. Not that
I take notes, but
like
the rest is organic, coming from the heart.
But like, almost learning a little more of the improv. I really should get some of that formal training. I probably should have manned up and been courageous enough to go with you to these improv things, because as we talked about, that is a skill.
The beauty of it is
that
sometimes
used for podcasting, and that means for my work too, and for public speaking.
It does get rid of the fear. The best part is, even if you're not called to participate, you can still shout out a suggestion.
Yeah. And I have done that. We used to, this is probably an aside, you can edit this out, but when I was mentioning my friends in Long Beach State that used to do improv all the time, we would, and also shout out to Brian Weissel if you're listening. Shout out to his new, also he just put out some stuff on YouTube. I want to look that up so I can ask people to go there. We've mentioned before, he wrote for Rick and Morty for a long time.
Yep.
And so he had also got his degree in writing from University of Florida. So we were probably the worst people to have in the audience because we were very like, coded to be a little weird and annoying about this stuff. But anyway, we would go there and we would work ahead of time to think about the worst things we could do. Like, what do we suggest? Literally write stuff down. So we're practicing our basically improv as audience members. And so they're like, okay, oh no, she's dead. What was she killed with? Someone in the audience. And it's always just me and Weissel. The sound of silence.
Wow.
Okay, yeah. That's where. Yes, that's why she died. But what was the physical object she was killed with? The sound of silence. There are no other options. There's nothing else in the room. And they're just like, you guys are dicks. Like, you guys are just dicks. The metaphorical concept of quietness.
Wow.
They're just like, we were friends with them. Like, we would go out and drink with them.
Total rejection.
But yeah, we're just doing it to be dicks. And I look back on with a little bit of shame.
Oh
but
my God.
I will say that.
Bit.
But for that reason, I should probably do one of these improv things with you to get my comeuppance, Cam, because I'm going to hurt other people. But
we will try.
Yeah, that's something I would like to do. Or maybe not like, but I think I should do, is to break past that barrier of fear a little bit and probably do some formal training and these sort of things.
Yeah, that would help a lot with
perfect.
Like, performance anxiety.
Yes.
Something we just haven't done that we can cross off on the bucket list earlier.
Yeah. Just call it that. But yeah, so no, I like that. So Cam, thank you so much. I know that
thank you.
We've run over, even with 3 segments, we've run over. I really like this idea, and I'm so glad you came up with like this idea of like, let's just, like I said, instead of having 10 people on one topic,
it's just so much going back and forth. Let's just chop it, into and we can make 5 delicious meals from this instead of one one giant souffle. Yeah.
I was gonna say, one thing we never do is editing, because it doesn't really work with the format of our show.
Yeah, it's kind of more raw.
I do
emotion.
like yours because it's like there's a lot of like sound effects and stuff.
You're playing creators and everything in a way. Yeah. I do need to get better with soundboards, because A-aron, you got that figured out pretty well, and I have to definitely figure out better ways to do soundboards.
I'll tell you, we're bootlegging it. To be honest, we're almost always playing something off our phone rather than running it through an actual
I've been trying to do that, and sometimes it just doesn't display, or not everyone can hear it. So we'll keep finding a few different tutorials, and honestly,
I guess since again I don't know when this is going to go out, but since I'm in the end of the year mood of like this sort of wrap up, something I never do enough on our own show. We do try and do our plugs and stuff like that, and every once in a while I'll remember, but I just want to thank you to A-aron for all the technical aspect, because it is it's a mystery to me. And you can't see it, audience. You can hear it, but I listen, like as we were talking about, to a lot of other podcasts, and I hear now from hearing A-aron's like how professional, honestly, we sound. Like we sound better than a lot of podcasts that go out, and we're not doing it on expensive equipment. We're doing it because he takes the time to meticulously fuck with our levels. He's sometimes doing it live. He'll just reach over and we got little knobs and shit everywhere.
And whatnot.
The lights are blinking in sequence. Speaking of shit. And forgot about that. Airplane 2. Fucking cut that into the other
brilliant.
one. He was amazing. And he's self-referential. Anyway, so A-aron, all the work that you do on the technical aspect. I want to shout out my sister, Carissa, who has been lately taking charge of actually uploading and doing everything on
help.
Of just
So much
organizing and making things happen. That's something, Cam, that you've taught me a lot about too, about like how to get all this stuff out. Because if you're a podcaster, if you're listening to this and you know, it is a pain in the balls to deal with. Like,
it sucks.
Here's how you get it onto iTunes, and here's how you do it here, and here's your RSS feed. Sometimes it goes down, and okay, we gotta have a website, and you gotta put on show notes, and you gotta do this.
I just started doing the website last year, and that was a big step. It was fun. But then what was funny is the others were going, "Oh, can I be put up there?" I'm like, "Yes, give me the material so I can create a page for you."
Yeah. Our friend Raul actually started a business just because that is such an impediment to so many people that
they need a reference.
We will send you a box. You will open it up. You'll press a button. You'll record and send it back. And we'll handle everything else because people are just like, it is difficult. In fact, that was part of what our live podcast was about, right? It wasn't just the how to speak. It was about here's some mics and here's where they go and here's what website you go to. I think Cam, and I think we met 2 or 3 years ago, and that one of the first questions I was like, how do you, I'm always finding sites where I can't get it up. Well, that sounds weird, but I can't get our sound to perform with their penis.
Yes.
Damn it.
But I know what you mean. It is
probably all this booze. But you know what I'm saying? Just getting onto the different platforms, making sure people can find
then
it.
Get bigger.
When people do a search, can they find it? Does it work? We've had ours go down multiple times because whatever platform that hosts the feed shuts down, or I don't know, whatever the fuck, or like even knows? SoundCloud's $300 a month. It's like, can we find a cheaper way? On and on. What I'm trying to say is I appreciate the diligence. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes on anything you're listening to, even if it sounds like a few clowns. We are doing fucking work on this shit. I swear to God we are. And if it sounds good, or if you're even hearing it, I mean, someone put in hours of their life to make that happen. Yeah. So,
and you have to fill
creators
for all the times where we recorded, but the mics weren't on.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started on the number of times.
But here's
some
the
of
thing.
the best jokes in the world.
That had to happen because then happened. You're like, never, ever, 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 ever doing that again. Ever.
One of my favorite stories ever is very early on. You know where I'm going with this, right? Yeah. Very early on. And I'm going to deviate a little bit because we used to, like, if we hesitate like I just did, we'd like start recording again, try it again, take it from the top.
Take 5.
No more. Now we're just like, fuck it. Listeners can suck it. Or we kick out gaps in the middle. Nope, we don't do that. But it was early on. I don't even know if it was our fault, if our Audacity's fault, if it was the equipment, whatever
it was.
It was Audacity,
it took us 4 times to record a certain segment. First time, maybe that's us, and then put it, and we're watching. We don't have it on right now, but normally we have a monitor that shows us that it's recording
the audio
live.
Feed and everything.
Yeah, the like waveforms and stuff, and it's looked good, but it stopped, and then it stopped again. Yeah. So like by the 3rd time, I'm like, and I had made like a
running out of RAM,
what I thought was a fairly clever joke, you know, like, and A-aron laughed, and I was like, and A-aron, you can hear listeners, both of you guys have really wonderful, like infectious laughs.
Oh, thank you.
And there's nothing better than that, right? And so I'm like, it sucks, man, because now I'm like, I got to say the joke, right? I can't be like,
how badly do I
let it go? It was so good. And Aaron said, don't worry about it. Just go with it. I was like, yeah, it's gonna be like, yeah, anyway, and then the guy tripped, and he's like, just do it. So I just say it, and he busts out laughing like it's the first time he's ever heard the fucking joke in his life. And I'm like, holy shit, that was amazing. And then it happens again. I was like, at this point, I'm so annoyed. I'm like, like I've got no ability to deliver a joke anymore. I'm like, yeah, then he fell tree, and then A-aron just dies laughing. I don't even know
because
if he's laughing.
just so
now he's laughing at my
angry.
delivery, probably.
I'm laughing at the situation. Really. I mean, that's like...
But it was amazing, and no one. Again, we talked about this before. No one knows. No one knows this shit for recording. But
you covered up a crime.
Yeah, but that sort of thing is amazing, and I love that. So that ability is unparalleled. And so again, even if you're listening to what sounds like, bootleg or lower level unknown podcast, believe me, work went into it. And some of these people are doing things that are way better than you're hearing from the big name podcasters. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, a lot more work goes into it than the actual.
Unless you want to be on our show.
Yeah.
Except for you, Joe Rogan. Fuck off. Even though I will not challenge you to a fight like it was Steven Seagal. Joe Rogan definitely kicked my ass.
Yeah, well, but at least we'll actually root for Cliff because he's a good person.
I'd die.
He's not a sellout.
I want to see Joe Rogan fight Steven Seagal. That would be fun.
Joe Rogan would kill him. Joe Rogan's an actual,
know.
knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But here's the problem.
Even better.
He doesn't like to act. He likes to talk shit. So that's a waste of a black belt.
I think it was just 2 weeks ago. It was wonderful. We got to see both Logan Paul and the one rapist guy.
That guy.
No, the
That guy.
Andrew Tate, the super rapist.
Oh, Andrew Tate, that's right.
Wow.
He got
I
knocked
didn't see
out the
that.
same day. Speaking of,
He's still
cunts.
working? Wow.
Yeah, he got pardoned by Trump. Who would have guessed?
There is
And on
no
that
justice.
note, anything else you'd like to take us out on? I like to leave
Fuck
with a happy
fascism.
memory of thank
Yeah.
you. Fuck rapists. I know it's a bold statement.
Fuck rulers who lead it for themselves. Fuck those who pretend to be independent thinkers and, as A-aron says, are sheep and want to act like we should pick a sports team. And that's the other thing, too, where, to close this out.
Professional sports is fake.
There you go, man. Fuck it.
Fake sports are professional.
Ooh.
Well, wrestling.
Wrestling's a sport. Oh, but I know what you meant there. That's the other thing, too. People are getting so caught up in whatever podcast software they're using to record, let alone what platform they put it on. Is like, start small, then go big, wherever it is more comfortable for
Just
you.
like penises.
Yeah, okay.
You don't have to use it if you don't want to. Oh, yeah, I
A
know.
$25 one just as good as the $100 one.
$25 penis.
Yes. I've never stopped talking about penis. It's my new podcast.
All things about my penis.
Yeah.
And ignore
All
the
penis
dicks.
considered.
To consider that, to build on that, ignore all the dicks on the internet.
That's why I go on the internet, Cam.
Oh,
Just to ignore all the dicks.
No, for the dicks, but
Oh.
yeah.
oh my god.
Well, to ignore them, you have to look at them. So, right? Wait, is that?
This is not helping my lady friend who thinks I'm gay. She was like, I knew it. Now it's on public record.
Damn it, he's not gay.
Everything you say is on public record, so put it to the mic. Bravo.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win Show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up